All right, so instead of the x-axis, we're going to use the t-axis. So y is my h equals a t squared plus tx plus c. Okay. So all it is, it's just our regular standard form quadratic equation. It's just they're using different variables, height and time, for our y and x-axis. Okay, don't try not to get too hung up on that. If you have to switch it all back to x and y. Why is this being so weird? Okay, when I was teaching you how to graph quadratic equations, the parabola or parabola that's got a virus. Parabola. Okay, everybody have a calculator? Alright, here's my equation. H equals negative 16t squared plus 128t. Well, I'm going to put that in my calculator. Negative, use the negative sign, not the minus sign. 16 instead of t, we use x squared plus 128x. Go to graph it. Oops. And you're saying to yourself, well, Mr. D, this doesn't look like the picture. You're right. It doesn't. Because our default settings for our scales here is, for my x-axis, negative 10 to positive 10, right? And same with my y-scale. It's from negative 10 to positive 10. So if you're looking at this picture, what's this point here? Well, we're interested in 2 or 3 points with our application problems. That point and most likely this point. In Algebra 1, we're concerned about those 2 points. What's this point called? Vertex. And in this case, it happens to be a maximum. The coordinates are x comma y. Or, in this case, t comma h. Right? Well, what is t comma h? Well, t is going to be 4, or x, right? And my h looks to be about 260. Yeah. Okay. Now, when I was teaching you parabolas, how to graph them, we did it this way. But we were doing some pretty simple problems, and we didn't have such large coefficients here, right? We didn't have 16 or 128. So, let's fit this to a window. Let's go to our window. Now, if I'm throwing a ball or something, I really don't care about negative x. You know, the ball's not going to go like negative time, right? Nor is it going to go negative height. So I'm going to take my negatives out of my x-axis. I'm going to put 0 in there. And my y minimum, I don't care about negatives either, because it's not going to go in the ground. So I'm going to put a 0 there. Now, time. 10 seconds seems reasonable. In fact, they have it hitting the ground at 8 seconds, right? So we're good there. Now, h or y, I have no idea. Okay? I mean, I could take a guess, but why guess when we have a feature on our calculators here? If I go to, go ahead and set your x max and go to, I believe it's zoom. Yeah, zoom. Hit your zoom button. And you could either scroll down, and it's got this thing called zoom fit. Okay, and that's the number 0. Or you could just punch in 0, and hit enter, and what it does is puts a best fit window in there. And lo and behold, look what we have. Bless you, my son. Okay. Now, for some reason, I've got my negative y's in there still. So I'm going to go back to my window. And gives me a y min of negative 320. I'm going to put that back down to 0. Because I don't care about negative underneath ground. I hit my graph. And lo and behold, it looks like my picture. Okay, you're going to have to know how to do this on the test Thursday and the test next Thursday. Well, we have them on Thursdays, don't we? All right. And then, back when I was teaching you how to graph quadratics, we found how to do this vertex on our calculator, didn't we? We hit second, trace. We went to the maximum. Okay. Hit enter. We got to be left bound. Get to the left of that point. Hit enter. Get to the right of that point. To the vertex. Hit enter. Hit enter again. And it gave me a vertex, the max, which, by the way, you're going to have to do on part of the test, right? Because I think that was unit 8 or 9. The max is 4, 256. So we were pretty close with 260. So that's my max. That's my x, that's my y, or my h, or my t and my h. Maximum height is 256. Okay, it says how long is the rocket in the air? Well, we know what that is. It's this point here, it hits the ground, right? And that point is our x-intercept, right? Our x-intercept, our solution, our roots, our 0. Remember all the names I had for it? And that's 8 seconds. So it's in the air for 8 seconds. And that's pretty much all we're going to do here in Algebra 1. Algebra 2, you're going to find out that this A is the gravity, the coefficient A represents gravity, T here represents the velocity, and you're going to find out at various stages what's what, and it's all kinds of fun stuff. Okay? Now, we did this on the calculator because you guys were taught how to do this on the calculator, right? We have, take out the other sheet. On the test, you're going to be using a formula for that vertex point. And that formula is x equals negative b over 2a. X equals negative b over 2a. Okay? Or replace the x because because applications problems we're using x as our tx as our time. Okay? It's the x coordinate of the max. So if we go back to our little problem here, we know it's 4. Let's figure this out. Well, actually, they have a new one here. Let's use this formula here that they gave us. Okay, this is going to be a minimum, but that's okay. Let's use that formula there. Okay, so x, what's my a? What's my a? 20. What's my b? Negative 20. And what's my c? 120. Okay, so they want us to find, in this case, it's, you know what, let's use negative 20, just to keep everything a maximum point, okay? So they want us to find the maximum using the formula x equals negative b over 2a. Well, let's go ahead and do it. So, x, or t, whichever one you want to use, I'm more familiar with x. X equals negative, now what's my b? Negative 20 over 2 times a, which is negative 20. Okay. So I have negative 20, which is positive 20, over negative 40. So my x is negative 1/2. If you don't believe me, put it in a calculator, hit math, enter, enter. Now I want to know the height. Well, I know x equals negative 1/2, or t, right? We'll use t, because they give it to us in h and t. So I need to find out what the height is. Well, that's easy enough to do. I go back up here to my formula. H equals negative 20. Again, what's my t? Negative 1/2 squared minus 20t, which is negative 1/2, plus 120. Plug all that into your calculators. You can use 0.5 for 1/2, because I don't like typing in fractions in my calculator. Okay, so second, quit that, and I'm going to put, let me back out of this a little bit. I'm going to put negative 20 times negative 0.5 squared minus 20 times negative 0.5 plus 120. And I get 125. So it reaches a height of 125. So my max is going to be negative 0.5 or negative 1/2, comma, 125. You're going to have to know how to use negative b over 2a for the test. It's not that hard. You find out what x is, you go back and plug it in, and you find out what y is, or h. Questions, comments, concerns? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to do page 3 of this worksheet. Okay, applications with parabolic functions. Once you go to page 3, do problems 2 and 3, but all you have to do is find the max, th, or xy, whatever you want to use, using x equal negative b over 2a. And then plug it back in. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do all this other stuff. Just on questions 2 and 3, find out what your maximum is using negative b over 2a. Comprendes? Questions, comments, concerns? What?
Didn't you also hear like a whistle like a little bit ago? Like one time was going off like sort of the side of the room.